Shabbat Shalom, family. How y'all doing today?
Shabbat shalom.
Happy Sabbath as well. My name is Nehemiah, and then this is going to be my reader today, Brother Brian Price. So today, what our lesson going to be dealing with is steps to growing to be used for the Father's will. So Yah has in mind what he wants to be done and who should be doing it. He gives us an opportunity to fulfill his will and not our will. The problem is that sometimes people hate submission. People love to do what they want to do. Now, whether we listen or turn a deaf ear to his commands is on us. If he assigns us a duty and we don't do it, then someone else will be assigned to do it.
Right.
If you work at a job and you get sick of the job and you quit, somebody will be replacing you to fulfill that position that you were required to do. Now, if you flip burgers and you hate your job and you walk out, they're going to replace you, put somebody else on the grill, because the people got to be fed. Same thing with Yahuwah's flock. His people got to be fed. His will has to be done. So whether or not we get to it and do what he assigns us to, his job is going to be done, and he'll replace you quick, fast, in a hurry. You know, he'll still give us a little time to get ourselves right because we're trying to break out of the flesh. But if you put your candle under your bed, he will replace that.
Right.
Because we got to be a light to the world, right?
Yes, sir.
So when he sends you an assignment, it's him providing you with an opportunity to be rewarded by him. This is the opportunity. And at the same time, get him glory. And I'm convicted to do a few things that other people don't do. You know what I'm saying? And I used to get upset about it because people didn't see it the same way. But Y'all showed me that the calling and the duty was for me to fulfill, and that I had better stop focusing on what other people are doing and not doing, because everybody had their own assignment, and that assignment was dealt for me.
That's good.
Now, obviously, a lot of people are not fulfilling their duties, or he wouldn't have never spoke on it. So with that being said, we're going to open today's lesson at Matthew 9, and we're going to read verses 35 through 38. And so I'm going to give y'all what I think is 5 steps as far as growing into doing the Father's will. So it will be a 5-part lesson. Today will be the first. And I'm just filling in for my cousin who's absent. I'm filling in his presence. He had to go out of town, you know, and do y'all's work there, you know. So
Yes,
may the people there be able to receive the word and grow spiritually. So he will be back next week. So we'll go ahead and read Matthew 9 and 35.
And Yeshua went out, and Yeshua went about all the cities and villages, teaching in their synagogues and preaching the gospel of the kingdom, and healing every sickness and every disease among the people.
So we see Yeshua, what he's doing right now. He's going about all different cities and all different villages, and he's doing things, performing miracles, healing people of their sickness, and everybody is going to want to come to him. Keep reading.
But when he saw the multitudes, he was moved with compassion on them.
So he saw a lot of people coming to see him do work, right? He's just one man, but a lot of people are coming to see him do work. It says multitudes, right? Keep going.
Because they fainted and were scattered abroad as sheep having no shepherd.
So read that again. Because they what?
They fainted,
right,
and were scattered abroad as sheep having no shepherd.
So these people is out here left without true, sincere, and genuine guides. Right. Guides, the people who's supposed to lead you, right? That's what the prophets was supposed, the priest was supposed to be doing, is guiding the people, right? But they out here scattered sheep. They not really having that true God that they are needing of. Read verse 37, please.
Then saith he unto the disciples.
So he's speaking to his disciples after he noticed what's going on. This big group of people coming to see him, and seeing that they the state that they were in. Right. You know, they was lost, and that will hurt. You know, if you know what the Father's will is and what he wants to be our way, and then you come here on the earth and you see the condition of the people, that's going to hurt. You know what I'm saying? So he's speaking to his disciples, and what did he say?
The harvest truly is plenty.
It's a lot of work out here, but keep going.
But the laborers are few.
It ain't enough people doing the work, right?
Yes, sir.
There's a lot of people out here in bad conditions, even still unto this day. You go by the bridges by downtown. You go anywhere downtown in any city, and you're going to see the condition of our people is bad, right? You go to the hoods. We stay in all the hoods. The condition of our people is bad, right? Actually, I want to say this. Due to the lack of people fulfilling their assignment, people go without, and they lack spirituality.
Right.
Now, when Yah gives us an assignment, it's our opportunity for us to work hard and earn a promotion as if we was working at a job, right? You work hard at a job, your boss takes notice, and you'll get a promotion, right?
Right.
When we fulfill the will, we will then build our resume and have more experience to provide to Yah, right? So we want to get the other promotion, which is going to be salvation, being in his kingdom, right?
Right.
And maintaining a position there. So we working for that position, so we need to be building our resume, which would be doing the works, helping spread the word, showing love to our brothers and sisters. Whatever he got you put here for within the ministry, because everybody's ministry is different, you fulfilling that duty so that your resume looks good in your time of judgment.
Right.
It says you don't want to be judged with an empty resume. Imagine trying to get a position that you need money to survive, and this is the last straw. If I don't get nothing today, by this day, I'm going to be put out of my apartment because I only got this many days, and if I start today, then I can get a check right in time, right? You go before the people without a resume. They don't have nothing to judge you off of, right? It's just empty. So why would I put you in that position when everybody else is coming prepared with a well-off resume? You got all the prophets standing before you who was actually on this earth doing work. And even people who ain't mentioned in the book doing work. His disciples, the apostles, they did a lot of work. And you want to stand before the Father and try to apply for the position. He going to be like, man, you came way short. You know what I'm saying? I have my people get with your people. And that never happened. You're not going to get the job. They're going to send you. We'll be contacting you by email, or you get their letter and they give you a long reason why they don't want you for the position.
Right.
Now, earlier I mentioned that this is steps to doing the Father's will. And this is step one that we're doing today, which would be separation/isolation. And this is when the period in your life when Yah separates you from what you used to, the people you've been around, the lifestyle that you was used to living, right? Because the first step, he's going to have to separate you, and we're going to get into it. The second step will be revelation, where he's going to show why he separated you. The third step will be transformation/preparation, and he makes you into the being that he separated to make you into. Then it's going to be step 4, which is manifestation, where he shows everyone why he separated you by your duties, your action, and your walk. And the fifth step and final will be glorification. And this is where he elevates you above the people that you were separated from and above the old you, so that when people see you, they see him. So this is going to be the 5 steps, and it's going to be a 5-part series. So today we're dealing again with separation/isolation, where Yah is separating you. This is the beginning of your journey, right?
Right.
Now the signs are clear when Yah calls us to be separated. Think about how you received his word and you found out about Christmas, Easter, and other holidays, etc. And you heard the word and you knew it was the truth and couldn't figure out for the life of you why your family and friends couldn't see it the same way. It would seem plain to you. We shouldn't be doing these things. We shouldn't be doing this. This is not even in the Bible. So why are we putting the Messiah's name on this and God's name on these things, right? And you get it, but nobody around you can seem to get it, And I can only imagine what young children dealing with who are in the truth when they got to deal with their friends and family and people at school and they think that you crazy because you following the Most High in the manner that you're supposed to.
Right.
But we the remnant, so it's gonna seem strange. He said, I believe in Jeremiah, he said, I give you heritage that you see that seems strange unto you, right? Your culture is strange to you, but you easily adapt to the nations and the people around you. Man, I see so many people who have like Buddha statues in their buildings, in their homes.
Right, yeah.
The Indian goddess, her little head, the Dalai Lama, all of that stuff, right? So all of this stuff is everywhere in our house, but our people don't know who their true creator is. They don't know how to truly follow him. So again, trying to figure out how other people ain't seeing it. This is plain as day.
Right.
How can you get 3 days and 3 nights from Good Friday to early Sunday morning where he was hung high, stretched wide? That's not possible. We'll be tripping if somebody say, I'm going to send you on a vacation, and it's 3 days and 3 nights, and it's on me, brother. But you got to leave Friday night and be back early Sunday morning. Hold on, man. This ain't.
Right,
now
right.
You can understand that because it's dealing with you in the flesh, but you can't understand. You can't see how in the world is Hamashiach hung on the cross on Good Friday night and rose early Sunday morning, right? So we still trying to figure it out, right? This is the beginning of your journey. And I really was going to do this for people who new into the faith, you know, and for the youth. Because I know the youth, if the world was wicked when we was in high school and we could remember what people was doing and we was doing in high school and junior high, imagine how much worse it is now with everything in the palm of your hand. We had the Tower of Babel being built where everybody was gathering together to try to reach the Most High. Now we got Tower of Babel in our hand, basically.
That's good.
You know, everything is there. We all united all across the world, China to Africa to Australia, back to America.
Yeah.
But he chose us to be part of his remnant. And as well as all the Pharisees couldn't see the Messiah for what he was, but he had a chosen few out of the Pharisees that did, and Paul was one of them. So he always going to have a little remnant of us no matter where he at, right? And Paul, all these people I'm speaking of, they had a phase that they had to be separated from the world as well. You know, you got to imagine Paul was amongst the Pharisees, and he wanted the Pharisees of Pharisees. He was killing all the followers of Hamashiach. Now he got to come from under that banner and separate. So now he looking at it as a betrayer from his brethren who was still Pharisees, right? And the people he trying to come to now is scared of him because of his history among the followers of Messiah, right? So Paul had to go blind to receive spiritual vision. Now, who know how many times y'all spoke to him and he ignored his calling before that happened?
Right.
He could have probably tried to come to him real soft, but he could have kept ignoring it. We don't know. And then he's like, all right, one way or the other, my will is going to be done. My will going to be done. So, boom, give me your sight till you get right. So everything you see, the back of your eyelids look like it's night. That wasn't a good owl moment.
That was good.
Yeah, all right. So force had to be applied through his lack of sight in order to make him move in the order to walk as Yah deemed fit for him. Now, he had to go into a dark place in order to see the light, and we want to move on faith and follow the voice of the Most High Yah. Now, Paul had to be separated from the sect of the Pharisees who was serving as a roadblock on a narrow path, and as our family and friends sometimes do to us, right?
Right.
Because they'll try to, well, we'll get into that a little later. Now, Abraham was called to do the Most High Yah's work, right? Let's go to Genesis 12 and verse 1. Genesis 12 and verse 1. And when y'all get there, say hallelujah so we'll know when we can start. So we'll move on one accord. We don't want to leave nobody behind. Genesis 12 and verse 1. Say hallelujah when y'all get there.
Hallelujah.
Thank you, somebody. All right, Genesis 1. Go ahead and read.
Now Yahuwah had said unto Abram, get thee out of thy country and form thy kindred.
And from thy kindred.
And from thy kindred. And from thy father's house unto a land that I will show thee.
So he said, get thou out of thy country. They might as well say, get thee out of your comfort zone.
Right.
Because this is the only thing this man know. This is the only thing this man know is this area, his family. And he said, leave your father's house until the land that I will show thee, right? So that's a high level of uncomfort that you got to deal with, to be leaving what you known that was comfortable to you. For me, it was a Sunday church, which I don't knock them brothers. You know, I pray that all of them get more understanding. But that's what I knew. So when I started hearing this word, it kind of twisted me. And I was like, nah, this can't be right. But the more I fought against it and tried to, you know, debunk it and debunk the word, the closer he brought me into the truth and built the brick on that foundation that had been laid. And then I couldn't deny it, right? But it was hard to deal with. You mean to tell me Christmas ain't right, Easter?
Right.
But it's for Jesus, right? All right, so now without the isolation, you can't get the revelation, which will lead to the devastation. So we have to get the isolation so that he can reveal himself to us, and that will become salvation instead of devastation. Now, Genesis 12 and 2, read that, brother.
And I will make of thee a great nation, and I will bless thee, and make thy name great, and thou shalt be a blessing.
So we see a reward is coming from following his commands and by him being obedient. He first said, leave your house, leave your comfort zone. And now he's showing you the blessing and the reward that's going to come with it if you do it, right? He said, I will bless thee and make thy name great, and thou shalt be a blessing, right?
Yes,
Go
sir.
ahead and read verse 3.
And I will bless them that bless thee,
Right.
and curse him that curseth thee.
Uh-huh.
And in thee shall all families of the earth
And this is
be
how
blessed.
they getting blessed, right? You blessing, you blessing and you receiving the blessing back, right? Now, if we'll bless our children, how much more will the Father do for us? The one who actually created all the world and every
Right.
being in it, right? Now, he provides us with his protection, and he puts his hedges around you when you following his will. So don't worry about nothing that you're going through on your road to salvation, because fear and faith can't coexist.
Right.
You got to trust in the Creator, as he did with Israel until Achan, which he provided hedges, and Achan went against Yah's will and caused all of Israel to suffer. Right. Now, if you don't move when he tells you to, someone along with you could be missing a blessing, right? Because he could be trying to put us in a place at a certain time so that our walk could be blessing others. If they could see the way we move and they could say, oh, he or she is different, man. Let me chop it up with him. Let me speak with him. You know, and then the wisdom of Yah should be showing through your speech if you keeping him on the tip of your tongue, right? Go ahead and read verse 4.
So Abram departed, as Yahuwah had spoken unto him.
So he moved like the Most High said, right? It wasn't just immediate, but he moved. Keep going.
And Lot went with him.
Right.
And Abram was 75 years old when he departed out of Haran.
So even look at the age that he left, you know,
Right.
when he had to move. So that'll even get in people's head. At this age, you want me to do what, Father?
Right.
Yeah, but he moved, right? Now, Abraham again was made to leave his land in order to mold him into what Yah needed him to be. And he had to remove him from the place where the spirit was not residing in order to put the spirit inside him. You see what I'm saying? So he had to put him in a certain condition so that he could fill him up with his spirit.
Right.
And if Abraham wouldn't have done it, little Earl would have done it, because somebody going to take your spot, right? So little Earl would have been there to take his spot. And someone is always there to back up and fulfill the contingency plan, because the Most High plan can't fail, you know?
Right.
Now, he didn't question Yah. He just simply did what he was told. Not initially, but he did. It was a Jonah moment indeed, because Jonah didn't move when he was supposed to either, right? So it was the same thing with Abraham, but they don't ever really point out the fact that he didn't move immediately, though.
Right.
Because it's a growth in your faith as you walk in this walk. The more you get into it, the deeper you get into it, the more things you're going to start to go through, and then you're going to see that the Most High is with me, and it's going to build your faith. It's going to build your faith. The things that you used to worry about and you would trip on and stress over, eventually you won't trip on them and stress over them no more, because you already been through it, and you know, hey, the Father got me. He going to fulfill his side of the bargain. As long as I
Right.
be obedient and I show him love, you know, and love my brethren as well, I'm good to go, right?
Yes, sir.
Let's go to Acts chapter 7. And we're going to read verses 1 through 5. You can go ahead, brother.
Then said the highest priest, Are these things so? And he said, Men, brethren, and fathers, hearken. The Yah of glory appeared unto Father Abraham
Right, he appeared unto Abraham. And this is Paul speaking to the people. Keep going.
when he was in Mesopotamia,
While he was in Mesopotamia. Keep going.
before he dwelt in Charan.
Before he dwelt in Charan. So when the Father was speaking to him, he said, leave this land. And he didn't go directly and do what the Father said. He went to Charan, and he stayed there a while. Keep reading.
And he said unto him, Get thee out of thy country and from thy kindred, and come into the land which I shall show thee.
Right, so he was going to lead him to the land that he was supposed to see. Keep going.
Then came he out of the land of the Chaldeans and dwelt in Charan.
So he left the land of the Chaldeans and dwelt in Charan, right? Keep going.
And from thence, when his father was dead, he removed him to this land wherein ye now dwell.
So then after his father died, he left. So he didn't move immediately. His
Right.
father had to die, right? So imagine leaving. I'm going back to say it's uncomfortable when you first start in your first stages of the separation from the world, right? But he had to leave his father, and he hated it so much he really didn't do what he was supposed to. He went from one area to another, but didn't go in the place where the Father was directing him initially. The Father had to take away his physical father in order to become his spiritual father to show who really leads, right, and who provides. Go ahead and read.
5. And he gave him none inheritance in it, no, not so much as to set his foot on. Yet he promised that he would give it to him for a possession, and to his seed after him, when as yet he had no child.
And he didn't have no child, right? I'm 75 years old. You know, that's when he was talking to him. He didn't even move initially. He still lived some time. Then his father died. Then he finally moved. And he's talking about you're going to have children and all that. And I'm this old, you know. So there's a lot of things that's being promised to him. And he got to move on faith, knowing that this is not normal. You don't normally see men of that age spitting out nothing, you know.
Right.
Now, this shows that his blessing wouldn't come until he did what Yah wanted him to do. Now, Abraham's faith grew over time, as we see, and he had some apprehension initially. He didn't leave his kindred as he was told in the Genesis until his father died, and he had to be separated from what he knew and what he was comfortable with. Now, we have to sometimes get away from our family or friends that don't have our best spiritual interests in mind. Right. In any aspect of life, growth only comes outside of comfort, right? If you lifting weights, you're trying to get big, you have to get uncomfortable. You have to be hot, tired, be out of breath in order to break down your muscles and grow, right? If you want to grow spiritually, you're going to have to get out of your comfort zone and stop being lazy. Put your nose in the books, study more. It's always being in an uncomfortable zone always make you grow. If you work on the job, you'll see that you get better at what you do when you place in moments of uncomfort, right? And you achieve the goal, right? Build up your confidence. Now, sometimes your family or friends will attempt to talk to you out of your good decisions, right? And they might have every good intention, but they are providing advice that goes against the will of Yah, right? So when you're coming out this thing, some examples is that, nah, man, he died. His blood covers the food. You know what I'm saying? You can eat what you want. You know, oh, you don't got the Lord is the Sabbath, right? You don't have to keep that Sabbath, right? So they might genuinely be trying to give you advice and even on other aspects and matters of the words, but they giving you bad advice, right? But they got every good intention. So we definitely gotta stay focused and let Yah guide us and let his will be done. Right. Let's go to Matthew 16, verse 24. So the road to the separation and isolation going to be tough in the beginning. Yeah. When you get there, go ahead.
Then said Yeshua unto his disciples, if any man will come after me, let him deny himself and take up his cross and follow me.
So denying yourself going to be denying all the things that you was comfortable with, everything that you knew, you know. And this is actually good for even when you're in the truth, because you sometimes have to re-examine your situation and your position in your spiritual walk. Right. And you have to do even further separate from other people who is supposed to be in the so-called truth with you, right? Verse 25.
For whosoever will save his life shall lose it.
Right.
And whosoever will lose his life for my sake shall find it. For what is a man profited if he shall gain the whole world and lose his own soul? Or what shall a man give in exchange for his soul? For the Son of Man shall come in the glory of his Father with his angels, and then shall reward every man according to his works. Right.
So we seeing that we have to give up what we knew, right, and take up our cross. And what's the use in holding on to the things that's around your life now if it ain't going to benefit you spiritually, right? All it's going to be is a distraction and a roadblock. Now, Abraham's family worshiped idols and strange gods. Abraham chose his father and installed his blessings that Yah allowed his physical father to die so that the spiritual father could lead, right? It'll be hard for us to go against our parents and stuff if they trying to tell us something spiritually and we know it ain't right, you know, and it make you uncomfortable because you're like, dang, this could lead to an argument or they don't want to deal with me no more. And this another thing I want to say is that it's not cultish to do separation and isolate yourself, because a lot of people will say that. I had a family member when I first got on this walk. they posted a whole document that was given by a psychiatrist, and they were talking about how cults act and how they try to make people separate, which is true. Cults do. But when you're in the truth, you have to separate from the old things that you was used to. If you did crack before, well, how is you gonna stay around crackheads and then you try to rehabilitate yourself and get away from it?
Right.
You know, if you was a fornicator and you got certain homeboys that's all you really had a relationship built on with it, you got to get away from them.
Yeah,
You see what I'm saying? Because other than that, you really don't have no relationship. It was just you chasing ladies, you know, even with women with their homegirls, you know. So we got to separate from these things, but it get uncomfortable because that's all you know. You start realizing how much time you spent with them, and if they out your life, how much of a gap you're going to have.
Right.
But that's when the Most High will come in and fulfill that gap. You know, he'll fill in that gap. So sometimes we might have to leave the city and state to go to some totally new in order to be able to deal with Yah in the capacity that it calls for in order for his will to be fulfilled and for us to receive salvation. For example, like somebody who, and sorry about the examples I give, but these come from the life that I done been around and things. So gangbangers, right? You might be raised in Cali, for example, and you was raised a Crip. You know, you got beef with some Bloods or whatever. You might have to leave that whole area in order to restart your life because you learned about the truth, but you know this is a certain lifestyle that comes with living in this area. So I'm going to have to defend myself, which may cause me to hurt somebody. So I just need to leave this whole area because around this whole area is nothing but death and a promise of bringing me back to the old me, right? So you might have to leave that area, right? You got to leave some of them friends and the situation that you knew. And isolation becomes in the beginning phases of Yah dealing with you. Again, it's not cultish, but in order to establish his ways in you so that he can be seen through you, this is scripturally proven. Now, Yah gave Abraham promises, and he moved on faith that Yah would not go back on his word. You know, he had to in order to leave that area. He got to have some type of faith, and he didn't know where he was going. He just followed Yah's command, and isolation causes us to become totally dependent on Yah. Instead of the people that we around, because we'll even look for them like, oh, if I go down, I know this person got my back. I know that person got my back. When man, it tells you that man can fail you. It don't matter how close you are to them. You know, the people we've been hurt by the most is the ones who was closest to us, right? So this puts us in a position till we have to put total dependency on Yah, right? Now, we have to put our full trust in him as if we were blind like Paul, and he is our guide down a narrow path, right? Because when you blind, somebody got to walk you down that path, right? You got to trust that person next to you, right? So when ain't nobody around, he is there and he guiding us. Example I want to give is when Yeshua was in the wilderness for 40 days and 40 nights, he fasted and prayed. He was separated from the people to be prepared for his task at hand, right? What was going to happen to Hamashiach? Be crucified, right? So he getting prepared through this 40 days and 40 nights. Now he was tried immediately after that. And he was prepared to do this task and being strengthened through his separation. Satan offered him exactly what Yah separated him from, which was the world. So Satan came and offered him, I'll give you all of this. But that's what the Most High separated him from, right? And that's what that's what Satan still does to us. I'm gonna give you this, I get that, this type of satisfaction, that type of satisfaction. But that's what Yah loved you enough to choose you out of everybody to have an ear to hear in the first place. You know, he could have chose your sister, your brother, your uncle, the other people who not in the truth, but he chose you to hear this thing, right? So we got to keep that in mind, that things is going to be offered to us through Hashatam, but Yah separated us for a reason.
Right.
Now, Noah and his family was also separated from the people, right? And we see through all these separations, good things come. Blessings come through these things. Noah was saved along with his family due to the separation.
Right.
It's always a reward in separating from the world, and the reward is salvation. Israel was taken into the wilderness for 40 years for preparation for the land that they were supposed to govern righteously, but they didn't. And Moses listened to Yah, and he was a bringer of the law and became the living embodiment of the living and walking law, right? So he walked it really kind of like Hamashiach. He wasn't perfect, but he was the walking embodiment of the law.
Right.
Hence the law of Moses. That's what they call it, right? Moses gave up a high seat in order to be brought low to be exalted by Yah later on. Because Moses was in the hot seat while he was in Egypt, right? He could have chilled there, been a sellout, but nah, y'all don't kill them. I'm good, But he stepped down from that high position and went to nothing, to dirt, literally, in order for Yah to use him. And then Yah exalted him later on, right? And Moses listened to Yah and was to bring of the law, right?
Right.
It says that books in the scriptures was named after the prophets because they were a living embodiment of the law, right? As well as bringers in remembrance of the law. That's why their names is mentioned in the books, which they name in Hebrew means other things as well. But Moses was so much a walker of the law, the Most High allowed him to make an addendum to the law. He added in divorce. And the Most High backed him on it. He didn't say, nah, what you doing? He backed him on it because he was the living, walking embodiment, right? Hamashiach came and he said, now you heard in the old times that to kill your brother, basically you had to physically do it. But now I say that the law is you just hate them in your mind is the same as murder. Yeah. So it's the same thing. You know what happened in the old coming happening in the present times, right? Let's go to 2 Corinthians chapter 3. And I mentioned that they was walking embodiments of the law. We should be doing the same thing, right? And we're going to read what Paul said. Go ahead.
3 and what?
3 and 1, sir. Yeah, okay. 2 Corinthians 3 and 1.
Do we begin again to commend ourselves? Or need we, as some others, epistles of condemnation to you, or commendation to you, or letters of commendation for you? You are the epistle written in our hearts.
He said, we are the people he was speaking to are the epistle that's written in their hearts. Keep going.
Known and read of all men.
Right.
For as much as you are manifestly declared to be the epistle of Hamashiach, ministered by us, written not with ink.
You are declared to be the epistle. This is like being a writing, right? The same way as the prophets was, right? So he deeming us like, hey, you supposed to be an epistle. When people see us, they supposed to see the Most High. Because we the walking embodiment of the word, right? Because the law was put on our hearts and mind. Keep going.
Not written not with ink, but with the spirit of the living Yah.
Written not with ink. So we seeing that this not physical scrolls or no book, right? He reiterating that this ain't written with ink. You were supposed to be the walking embodiment of the word. They see you and they see the whole book. Keep going.
Right. But with the spirit of the living Elohim. Right. Not in tables of stone, but in fleshly tables of the heart.
But in fleshly tables of the heart, not the stone no more. This spiritual right here. You see what I'm saying? This is growth. But this is growth from even just knowing the word, but to actually living. And it's the best thing when people can follow you through your actions and just not hearing you quote scripture after scripture. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Keep going.
And such trust have we through Hamashiach to Godward. Not that we are sufficient of ourselves to think anything of ourselves.
So we don't puff ourselves and start thinking that it's all about us just because we keeping some commandments. But what?
But our sufficiency is of Yah.
So we give him all credit, praises, and honor, right?
Yes, sir.
So we become the living word as a Messiah when we walk after him and follow the word of the Most High. And the Most High Yah should be receiving the glory because we have lowered ourselves so that he can elevate us, right? Let's go to Proverbs chapter 4. And we're going to read verses 1 through 10. So he going to remove us, start to rebuild us, strengthen us, reveal himself to us, tell us why he building us up, show us, exalt us above those who doubted us and the people who couldn't understand. And then he gets the glorification. Go ahead, brother.
Hear ye, children, the instructions of a father, and attend to no understanding. For I give you good doctrine. Forsake you not my law. For I was my father's son, tender and only beloved in the sight of my mother. He taught me also and said unto me, let thine heart retain my words, keep my commandments and live.
Right, so we remember his commandments and we live by them, right? Keep going.
Get wisdom, get understanding, forget it not, neither decline from the words of my mouth. Forsake her not, and she shall she shall preserve thee. Love her, she shall keep thee. Wisdom is the principal thing. Therefore, get wisdom, and with all thy getting, get understanding.
So we seeing his wisdom is what's going to protect us on this
Right.
journey of separation, because it get lonely when you separate and you start to worry like, man, about all type of stuff. But this is what's going to protect you is the wisdom, right? Keep going.
Exalt her, and she shall promote thee.
So we bringing ourselves low, and through our wisdom, we will be promoted through the Most High Yah. Keep
Right.
going.
She shall bring thee to honor, when thou doest embrace her.
So from humility in your walk, you shall get honor. Keep going.
She shall give to thine head an ornament of grace, a crown of glory shall she deliver to thee.
Right. So this is going to be our reward. This will be working everything while we're going into the Father's will, is to receive this reward of protection and to be honored by the Father so that he can say, job well done, my son or daughter, right?
Yes, sir.
Let's go to James chapter 4, verses 8 through 10. And in this time, we got to know who got our back, that we're not alone. You know, we never are if as long as we're walking in light, right?
Right.
Go ahead and read, starting at 8.
Draw nigh to Yah, and he will draw nigh to you. Cleanse your hands, ye sinners, and purify your hearts, you double-minded.
So this is James. This is James speaking, and he's speaking against the people with worldly actions, right? Because they're
Right.
supposed to be knowing better. So he's saying, draw near to Yah, and then Yah will draw near to you to cleanse your hands. That's what we're doing in our separation process. We cleansing our hands. We purifying our hearts. We taking away the double-minded mind and learning how to think like the Most High Yah. Go ahead and read.
9. Be afflicted and mourn and weep. Let your laughter be turned to mourning and your joy to heaviness.
And these are the symptoms of when you start your separation. You start being afflicted by those who you love. Man, they crazy. He in the cult. He following these false prophets.
Right.
All of this affliction come. You start mourning and being sad because you're being separated from those who you love. And then you weeping about it, right? He said, let your laughter be turned to mourning, which it does, and your joy to heaviness.
Absolutely.
And remember, here is somewhere where he talked about their role, and he said, first it's sweet, but then it turned bitter. You know, because
yeah.
the more wisdom you got, the more heavy it becomes. You might even start stressing like, are they going to get right? I don't want them to die. I don't want them to
Right.
find judgment. I don't want them to find judgment, you know, and you weeping for them. Keep reading.
10. Humble yourselves in the sight of Yahuwah, and he shall lift you up.
Exactly. Now, it takes humility to listen and to follow the Father, right? Because we so used to just doing what we want to do and what the world taught us to do, what the norm is, right? So it takes humility to step down and say, well, maybe I was wrong in the way I'm living. Let me follow the Father's way, right? And we should be the introduction to the Most High Yah when people see our walk. If they have never known the Most High, when they see us, we should be their introduction, you know,
Right.
by the way we walk. They should see the light, right?
Absolutely.
So our walk should be a testimony for or against them. Now, when they accept you, they accept Yah. When they deny you, they deny Yah, right?
Yes, sir.
Now, when you walk righteously, it will cause a separation and isolate you from worldly activities. And Yeshua was sending out his messages to spread the word, and this is what he said to him. Go to Luke 10. Because he's, again, preparing us to become the living embodiment of the law and to be the living embodiment of the words. So when we walk, our actions are speaking words for us. We don't even got to open up our lips too much. When you get there, go ahead.
Luke 10.
Yes, sir. 10 and 2.
10 and 2. Therefore said he unto them, the harvest truly is great, but the laborers are few.
Right.
Pray you therefore that Yahuwah of the harvest, that he will send forth laborers into his harvest.
Right. So we got to get to work. Go.
Go your ways. Behold, I send you forth as lambs among wolves.
So he's sending us, he warning us before he even do it. I'm sending
Right.
you as lambs amongst wolves. Now, your own loved ones become the most heartless people when you get into this to making changes. Your friends will treat you dirty. And they be like, man, we had all these years of foundation in the relationship built up, and I can't believe that you doing it. I was raised as a Sunday person, so when the people in the church did it, I couldn't believe it. And it really confirmed that where I was going was the truth. You know what I'm saying? Because the way they did me, they talked bad. They said stuff. They don't even believe in the Messiah. You ain't even listened to one lesson to even know what we believe in. You see what I'm saying? So keep reading.
4, carry neither purse nor scrip nor shoes, and salute no man by the way.
So when I read this, I see that they didn't have to worry about nothing. The Most High had them, right? He told them don't carry neither purse nor scrip nor shoes, and salute no man on the way, meaning I got you on everything you got coming, right? Don't worry about none of that. So we really should be praying for discernment on this journey so that we can decipher and discern the difference between the wolves and the sheep, you know?
Right.
Because some of the wolves will be in sheep's clothing. They'll talk a good game, but they ain't really thorough and loyal to the Most High, so neither to you.
Absolutely.
All right, we're going to go to Romans 8 and 28. Now, when Moses had to leave, come from Egypt to go back to get the people, Noah had to build the ark for all them years, be made fun of on his separation process, right? Israel coming out of the wilderness, right? They all went through something, right? This walk ain't going to be easy when you separating, right? You're going to be going through stuff that make you want to revert back to your old ways and be like, man, skip this. It was easier walking in darkness, right? Go ahead and read Romans 8 and 28.
And we know that all things work together for good to them that love Yah, to them who are the called according to his purpose.
It says all things work together for good that love Yah. So with this being said, no matter how things is looking on your journey, you know, you thinking like, how I'm gonna make the ends meet, how I'm gonna do this. I used to make my money this way when I was in the world, but now I came into the truth, how I'm gonna provide. I can't do the things I used to do to make. You don't gotta worry about none of this stuff. You don't gotta worry about who hating on you, relationship issues or nothing, because the Most High gonna take care of everything. And he said that he make all things work for good. So it look ugly to us. We don't know the outcome, but everything is going to be beautiful in the end, right? Like, say, for example, when Israel left Egypt, they got boxed in between the mountains, and they got boxed in between the mountains, the sea, Red Sea, and also Pharaoh's army, right? So imagine that feeling. I just left. Imagine seeing a slave get away from his master, and he get by the river, and he can't even get over the water. He just standing there like, what I'm going to do, what I'm going to do, right? And this is the Red Sea. So this is the Red Sea, right? So they got to move on faith in order to, you know, keep going, right? So Moses had told them, hey, be still and watch the Most High salvation take place, right? And they did, and they was able to walk through on the dry land, right? So the Most High will always make a way. It look ugly to us, but if we just trust in him, he'll make a way out of no way. And I'm sure some people in here can testify on how he's worked in their life, and they just couldn't see how it was going to come or how it was going to happen, right? Now, during isolation, we are able to be still and have no distractions so that we can hear Yah clearly. And once you receive the commands, then you move immediately so that you don't delay your blessing nor anyone's else, and Yah will receive the glory. In obedience is a demonstration of faith. Because everybody say, I have faith in the Most High. I hear that a lot from people, but their actions don't resemble the Most High. So our obedience in the way we move, it'll be a true demonstration of faith, right? Now, this is where Yeshua is calling his first disciples, right? Let's go to Luke chapter 5. And we're going to read verses 1 through 6. When you get there, let me get a second. Go ahead, brother. Luke 5 and 1.
And it came to pass that as the people pressed upon him to hear the word of Yah, he stood by the lake of Gennesaret and saw 2 ships standing by the lake. But the fishermen were gone out of them and were washing their nets. And he entered in one of the ships, which was Simon's, and prayed him that he would thrust out a little from the land. And he sat down and taught the people out of the ship. Now when he had left speaking, he said unto Simon, Launch out into the deep, and let down your nets for a draught. And Simon answered and said unto him, Master, we have toiled all the night, and have taken nothing. Nevertheless, at thy word, I will let down the net.
Okay, so this is important. The reason we reading this is because I just said we don't know how it's going to look when the Most High work in our life, right?
Right.
And he'll come and perform true miracles. So imagine this man, this is Peter, right? Simon is Peter, right? Mm-hmm. And he out here, he telling him, man, we been fishing all night and we ain't caught nothing. But then you got this guy who going to say, hey, man, just put your net over here. But he said, nevertheless, at thy word, I will let down the net. So we should just move on his word, not understanding that we ain't going to see everything as the Most High do, right?
Absolutely.
So imagine they been dropping the net all night, ain't caught nothing. And then he say, drop the net, right? Read verse 6.
And when they had this done, they enclosed a great multitude of fishes, and their net brake.
So then they dropped it and followed what he said, and they got so many fish that the net broke, right? But I've been here all night, and you mean to tell me because you say do it, the things is going to change? Yes, because I'm giving you the orders. I'm working in the darkness, which you can't see.
Right.
Right?
Yep.
Let's go to Romans 7 and verse 19. Now, when Paul came into the knowledge of the Messiah, he said you can see the growth throughout time if you really study Paul's movement, because he came in with an arrogant attitude. Because remember, he was a Pharisee. The Pharisees was masters of the law. They studied that thing. That's what they did for a living, right? So when he initially came, he said that he was not one whit behind any of the apostles, right? So this is the starting of his journey. And then he said he felt as if he had just as much knowledge as the apostles, right? And as time went on, he became wiser and he matured. And then he said that he's the least of all saints. Right. So he went from saying, I'm not one little inch behind these disciples, I know just as much as them, to saying, oh, man, I'm the least of everybody. You know what I'm saying? Because he's growing in humility, because that's what this separation is supposed to do. Teach us to have humility and to depend on the Most High Yah in totality, right? Absolutely. So then later on, he grows even more in wisdom, and he says that the Messiah came into the world to save the sinners, which I am chief. So he went from knowing just as much of the disciples to saying that he's the least of the saints to saying I'm the chief of sinners. And he really progressing in his walk, but he humbling himself as he's growing. You see what I'm saying? Yeah. So the Most High put you in this state when he separates you, he builds you up, and then he lets you see that it's all about him so that he can make it about you and bring it back to him to get the glory. Right? So Romans 7, let's pick it up at 19.
For the good that I would, I do not.
So the good that he would do, he do not. Because remember, this is a hard walk. It don't mean that you're going to be perfect during your separation and everything will get easier. It's going to get harder because the demon is going to be attacking you more and more. You see what I'm saying?
Absolutely, yeah.
Keep going.
But the evil which I would not, that I do.
But he do the evil. So you see, this is a man of Paul writing to the Romans, and he's supposed to be a leader, and he's still battling. He's still struggling, right? Keep going.
Now, if I do that I would not, it is no more I that do it, but sin that dwelleth in me.
Right. So it's the sin, right? Keep going.
Mm-hmm. I find then a law that when I would do good, evil is present with me.
Right, because them demons is always coming to attack. It tell you scripture that, one might leave and then two come back, right? If that ain't enough, that two leave and four come. They're going to keep coming and ganging up on you until they can get you to fall, right? Keep going.
22. For I delight in the law of Yah after the inward man.
Right. See, and he delight in the law of Elohim after the inward man, but they'll tell you that he's saying he putting the law away, but he delights in it. Keep going.
But I see another law in my members.
But in his members, in his flesh, right?
Warring against the law of my mind.
Right.
And bringing me into captivity to the law of sin which is in my members.
Right. So it's always that reminder because you be in separation mode and then you get around the people who you were separated from just a little bit and you start to see this is why he separated me. I was
Right.
tripping. I wanted to be back around him, but now I can see why he
Right.
separated me. I know this ain't the best for me. Keep going.
O wretched man that I am,
He say, "Oh, wretched man that I am." Keep going.
who shall deliver me from the body of this death?
Keep going.
I thank Elohim through Yeshua HaMashiach or Adonai. So then when the mind of myself served the law of Yah, but with the flesh, the law of sin.
So we see he have a struggle in a battle, right? And it's going to always be a war between us and Hashatan while we being isolated from the world. Keep in mind how he went to Hamashiach and even tried to tempt him after being in the wilderness 40 days, 40 nights. So if he try him, he for sure going to try us because we weaker than him, right?
Absolutely.
And the more wisdom that you get, you'll learn to lower yourself and start to elevate the Most High, whom is the one that should be receiving the glory. And you'll think less of yourself and more him, less of yourself, more him. What can I do to be like the Father, to fulfill his will? And we focus on that instead of fulfilling our own pleasures, then we'll be all right?
Right.
Now, Moses, who had all the authority on earth, was the meekest man. So humility has to come in this thing, right? Moses spent quality time with Yah and took on his spirit and resemblance in a way because he shined like the sun. You know, he had to put on a veil. And that's what should be happening with us. We spend so much time with the Most High. His spirit and characteristics is on us to people really see a change. You know what I'm saying?
Yes, sir.
Like, I ran into a guy a couple years back that when I was in the streets, you know, he knew me for a certain lifestyle, you know. So when he seen the position I was at that time, he was like, "Nah, bro, I know you still doing it." I'm like, "Nah, bro, I don't do that no more. I don't do that." "Nah, not you, bro. Everybody know," you know. And it's like, "Nah, I don't do that no more." You know, and then as my walk progressed and he saw me while I was in the light, he was like, "Yeah, you for real? You really don't do that? You really different." But he couldn't believe it. You know what I'm saying?
Yes, sir.
And that's what should be happening, right? Go to Exodus 34. Moses started to resemble the Most High. His light face shined, right? And that's how people should start seeing us. We shining through the Most High. That we doing nothing but following his word, so it ain't us. Separation can be hard, but it's needed.
Right.
Exodus 34 and verse 29. Go ahead.
And it came to pass when Moshe came down from Mount Sinai with the 2 tables of the testimony in Moshe's hand, when he came down from the mount, that Moshe wist not that the skin of his face shine while he talked with him.
Right.
And
So
when
he's shining, and he ain't even knowing the light that he putting off. Keep
right.
going.
And when Aaron and all the children of Israel saw Moshe, behold, the skin of his face shone, and they were afraid to come nigh him.
Right. I mean, could you imagine? You know,
Right.
I mean, you shining, man. Only person I seen shine like that was, what's his name, Bruce Leroy? Yeah, keep going.
And Moshe called unto them, and Aaron and all the rulers of the congregation returned unto him. And Moshe talked with them, and afterward all the children of Israel came nigh, and he gave them in commandment all that Yahuwah had spoken with him in Mount Sinai.
So he spent time with the Most High. He first had to be put in isolation from the children of Israel. That's why he was up there that amount of time. He being separated from the children of Israel. He building his relationship with the Most High, getting better understanding, dwelling with him. He starts to take on his characteristics, which is symbolic with his face shining. You know, then he comes back, and what does he do? Bring with him the word of the Most High, you know, which is what we should be doing. We leave in a certain condition, and when we come back, we coming with the word of the Most High when we dealing with people, right? Keep going.
Until Moshe had done speaking with them, he put a veil on his face. But when Moshe went in before Yahuwah to speak with him, he took the veil off until he came out. And he came out and spake unto the children of Israel that which was commanded. And the children of Israel saw the face of Moshe, that the skin of Moshe's face shone. And Moshe put the veil upon his face again until he went in to speak with him.
Right, so we're going to shine once we separated. You had no choice because now you're not bunched in the crowd.
Right.
Now the people can see you. See, they couldn't see you because you were standing right next to them. Now I'm separated, all eyes on me, and when you see me, you see the Most High, right?
Right.
So he going to separate you. Yah is going to reveal himself to you, And then you'll go through a transformation and a manifestation of him, which will lead to his glorification. So through your transformation, he going to manifest himself to you while he transforming you. And then the Most High Yah will get the glory at the end of the day, right? Because they going to see him when they see you. And this isolation allows Yah to reveal himself to you. We should really be fasting just like Hamashiach did during these times when we feeling weak and during our times of isolation. Now, you will hate isolation in the beginning because it's a rough, you got to go through that adjustment, you know, and you got to stable your mind because your mind be everywhere. Why this? Why this?
Right.
Why me? You know? And it's hard, and you think, why'd you pick me? But in the long run, that's a good thing that he chose you to go through this thing. He sees something in you that he don't see in nobody else.
Right.
Right? So you're going to learn how to trust the Most High and be comfortable with separating from the world, and you're going to hate to be around it. See, when I left the world, man, I was used to doing all type of stuff on my Friday nights and Saturdays. You know, I didn't have to worry about, I can't do this, I can't do that. You know what I'm saying? So that was like one of the hardest adjustments. It wasn't leaving the food, but I was just used to kicking it. You know what I'm saying? So I had to separate it, and I hated it at first. To now, I be like, I don't care about kicking it. I'm good with my Friday nights, my day of rest.
Absolutely.
You know, and I'm so used to it. You know what I'm saying? I don't see what other people, like, it's nothing out there. You know, but trouble at them times.
That's it.
And it's crazy how a lot of people die on that day that they supposed to be keeping holy. Yeah. So being alone, I want to say that being alone and lonely are two different things, right? Because we'll say, I'm lonely. It's a difference between being alone and lonely, right? Because you could be alone in a room full of people when you just sit apart. You know,
Absolutely.
You'll be amongst a room of people, but you really still feel alone because you're not on the level that the other people are, right?
Right.
So it's the difference between being lonely and being alone. Now, Yah does want separation and isolation, and it's not cultish activity when you follow Yah's word and not someone like David Koresh or Jim Jones. So when the Most High, you separate, you good. And when you follow the likes of Jim Jones and David Koresh, that's the difference because it had nothing to do with the book, and they really just trying to keep you separated from those who really trying to save you.
Yep.
You know, but on our end, he trying to separate us from the people who think they trying to save us but really going to do harm to us, right?
Yes, sir.
Let's go to John 17. And we're going to start at verse 14. And we're going to read some of these scriptures because, like I said, my family member put up a full document from the psychiatrist talking about cultish activities and what they do to bring people into the cult. So I had to reevaluate stuff and go through scriptures to be like, is this true? Is this what I'm going through?
Right.
You know, because it was put out subliminally, but I knew who they were speaking to.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So we're going to hear what the Most High, the words that he's given to the men who wrote in this book. Go ahead. John 17 and verse 14.
I have given them thy word, and the world hath hated them.
So he gave the world, Yeshua gave the world, and then the world hated us, right? Keep going.
Because they are not of the world,
Well, he gave us the word, and the world hated us because we ain't of the world. Keep going.
even as I am not of the world.
So he ain't even of the world, right?
Right.
So they make you feel bad because you start separating, but we seeing that this is a process that all the prophets had to do, and even Yeshua did it, right? And he's telling you, like, man, the world gonna hate you because you're not of the world. You in it, but you're not doing the things that they do. And then our walk will really convict a lot of people. They'll say, they ain't in the truth, but they really be convicted by the way we walk. And then later on, you might come 2 months or 10 months later down the line, now you see your kinfolk done stop eating pork. They stopped because they started feeling convicted by your walk. Go ahead, verse 15.
I pray not that thou shouldest take them out of the world.
So don't take them out of the world. You know, that's like when you're a father and you see your son fall, you be like, man, he'll be all right. Tell your wife, he'll be all right. You know what I'm saying? You're going to make him soft. You know what I'm saying? So he don't want to take us out the world. He want us to go through this. This was going to make us tough.
Right.
You get hit on the football field and you want to quit. No, son, that's not how it works, right? You got to be strong. Keep going.
But that thou shouldest keep them from the evil.
Right. Don't take them out the world, but just protect them. Keep them hedges around you because they are the one. He said, I gave them your word. So they are carrying your word as the prophets carried the word. Ezekiel, Nehemiah all carried the word to the people. So they got to be safe so that it could either be a testimony for the people or against them. Keep reading.
They are not of the world, even as I am not of the world.
Right.
Sanctify them through thy truth. Thy word is truth.
Right.
As thou hast sent me into the world, even so have I also sent them into the world. And for their sakes I sanctify myself, that they also might be sanctified through the truth. Neither pray I for these alone, but for them also which shall believe on me through their word.
Right. So because they got to go spread the word to the people. You see what I'm saying? So I need you to protect them, Father, so that the word can go around, and this could be word to get to the people and protect the people. Right.
Right.
So as the world hated me, they're gonna also hate them because they spreading the message of me. They ain't used to this light. Right. Keep going.
21. That they all may be one, as thou, Father, art in me, and I in thee, that they also may be one in us, that the world may believe that thou hast sent me.
So this is their duty. They have to spread the word, right? But he says, key point, that they all may be one, as thou, Father, art in me. So now we becoming one with the Most High, because we His body, and then with Yeshua, then we become one with the Father, because Yeshua is the gateway to the Father. So as He is one with the Father, we start to become one with the Father. That's why I keep reiterating that the world should see the Father when they looking at us, the actions that we do, the love that we show amongst people, us trying to help people, bringing them the word, being a living example. Right? Keep reading.
And the glory which thou gavest me, I have given them, that they may be one, even as we are one. Right. I in them, and thou in me.
So we rocking with the Son. So we rocking with the Father. He promised he giving us protection. So we looking as a total unit because we walking as a Mashiach. Because remember earlier he said, "Take up thy cross." Keep going.
That they may be made perfect in one.
So that we may be made perfect. Keep going.
And that the world may know that thou hast sent me, and hast loved them as thou hast loved me. Father, I will that they also, whom thou hast given me, be with me where I am, that they may behold my glory, which thou hast given me. For thou lovest me before the foundations of the world.
Right, so the glory, that they may behold my glory. So all of this is in the works of directing us towards being like Hamashiach, which is his true begotten Son, right?
Right.
So he trying to lead us in the same direction so that we become his children and we get that inheritance. Keep reading.
O righteous Father, the world have not known thee, but I have known thee, and these have known that thou hast sent me.
So now we're going to know the Father. Keep going.
And I have declared unto them thy name, and will declare it, that the love wherewith thou hast loved me may be in them, and I in them.
So this is a reward. 'Cause remember with separation, like with Abraham, he told him to separate, and then the reward came later. He was like, man, I'm going to bless all the nations through you, right? So this is our reward. We starting our separation phase, and then he telling him that we may be one with him. We may be looked at as his son is basically what he's saying. You know, so the Father's Son, so that we can get the same glory and the same salvation as he was going to receive, right? Keep going.
That was 26.
That was 26. All right. 1 John 2 and 15. Because remember, we dealing with separation, so they say we cultish because we separate. We decide to separate and be different. So here go another precept. Go ahead.
Love not the world.
Love not the world, right? But they want us to stay part of it. Keep going.
Right. Neither the things that are in the world.
Don't love the things that's in the world. Keep going.
If any man love the world, the love of the Father is not in him.
Right.
For all that is in the world, the lust of the flesh, and the lust of the eyes, and the prides of life, is not of the Father, but is of the world.
Right. And see, they think we lose love because we're not around them like that no more.
Right.
But it ain't that we don't love them. It's just that due to the schedules that we got, like the Shabbat, I can't be at your wedding maybe because of the time that you chose to plan it.
Right.
Knowing that I keep the Shabbat, you could have had it on Sunday if you really wanted me to participate. The birthday parties and things of that nature, right?
Absolutely.
Keep going.
17. And the world passeth away, and the lust thereof, but he that doeth the will of Yah abideth forever.
Right, so separation is a good thing because it's giving us our opportunity for salvation to get that promotion that we spoke about earlier, right? Because he's seeing our works. Okay, I keep throwing this at him, but he's staying separated. I did throw this at him, but he's still staying separated from the world. He's not going back. You know, I done seen people lose, they mate, and then they make them go back to the world because they want to compromise. Like, well, she don't like this, so I'll go back to the world. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? We can go on and do Christmas. We can, because they ain't taking up their cross, right? That's part of separation.
That's right.
Let's go to John 15 and start at verse 18. John 15 and verse 18, where we're going to start. Now, I only got a couple more scriptures after this. When you get there, go ahead, brother.
If the world hates you, you know that it hated me before it hated you.
Yeah, it hated me before it hated you. I was the walking example, so you'll know what I went through. You're going to have to go through the
have to do
same
it too,
thing.
yeah.
All the apostles, all the disciples, the prophets, they died like gruesome deaths, man. Being boiled to death, getting your head chopped off. You know, they attempted to put Daniel in the lion's den, but death always was following the walk, you know. But they was really to give up their blood for their brethren and go ahead and fulfill the work of the Most High. Keep
Right.
going.
If you were of the world would love his own.
Because they'll love us if we was the same folly. If we was like, yeah, bro, I'll go over here and I'll go chase these women with you. You know,
Right.
go sleep with these other men's wives or go break in this house with you. But when you don't do it, they start hating you.
Right.
Even though we had a relationship for all these years before, right? Keep
Yeah.
going.
But because you are not of the world, but I have chosen you out of the
He
world,
has chosen us, man. That's a special thing.
Yes,
Keep
sir.
going.
therefore the world hateth you.
That's why they hate you. Keep going.
Remember the word that I said unto you, the servant is not greater than his Lord.
So we're going to go through the same thing, you know, because the servant ain't greater than the Lord. Keep going.
If they have persecuted me, they will also persecute
They
you.
gonna persecute you. So just know these things going into it. It ain't gonna be easy. Keep going.
If they have kept my sayings, they will keep yours also.
Mm-hmm.
But all these things will they do unto you for my name's sake,
Right,
because they know not him that sent me.
right.
If I had not come and spoken unto them, they had not had sin. But now they have no cloak for their sin.
And this is a lot of reason, like I keep saying, because your walk will convict other people, bro. They gonna hate on you just because of how you walk.
Yep.
You might not even spit no scriptures to them, but they just gonna hate the changes in you. You know, I never had so many problems with my family until I got in the truth. Then that's when I started seeing that they would treat me funny. I'm like, but the lifestyle I was leading before getting this word was okay.
Yep.
The things I was doing and you didn't have nothing to say, it didn't make no sense to me.
Right.
Go ahead and catch that next verse.
He that hateth me hateth my Father
Man,
also.
so if they hate us, this the same way because they hated Hamashiach, and if you hate that, then you basically hating Hamashiach, you hating the Father. It's a line. You know what I'm saying? Keep going.
If I had not
No,
done,
hold on. Let's go to Leviticus 11 and 45. So we dealing with separating right now, right? And knowing that we not in no cult, we shouldn't be feeling bad with the moves that we make. You know, we don't want to lose no friends and family, but if we
Right.
do along the way, it might happen. But then you might go back to be able to pick them up later on, just like how Moses had to leave first, and then he was able to go back and get the children of Israel. Leviticus 11 and 45. Go ahead, brother.
For I am at Yahuwah that bringeth you up out of the land of Egypt, to be your Elohim. You shall therefore be Kadesh, or holy, for I am Kadesh.
That's exactly why I went there, brother, because of that word holy in Hebrew is Kadesh, which means set apart, which means that you're different from everybody else, right? So he said, you be set apart, basically, for I am set apart. So we supposed to be different. You know, we ain't got to have our nose stuck in the air just because we walk a certain way. We supposed to walk in love. If anything, we shouldn't be, high-minded. We should be sad because our brothers and sisters ain't catching on to the wave.
Right.
You know, we should be fearing where they going to be going. We should be loving them more than they love themselves,
Right.
right? Let's go to 1 Samuel 16. So during this separation, the Most High, his word going to be like a pair of headphones for Beats by Dre. Because it's going to block out all the noise, and it's going to be his word pumping into your head. Because he done took you away from the distraction. So now I got full eyes and ears, you know? So, yeah. 1 Samuel 16. Because we got to believe that the Most High can use us too. A lot of people get in this walk and just sit stagnant and don't do no work because we don't really believe the Most High can use us. Why me?
Right.
Could I be one day helping to teach? Could I be doing this? Could I? The Most High takes the most basic men and elevates them.
Absolutely.
Right? 1 Samuel 16:11. Let's go, brother.
And Samuel said unto Jesse, are here all the children? And he
So
said,
this is when, let me bring it in, because see, this when Samuel was going to go anoint, and so he was going to anoint David and find him, but he didn't know who he was supposed to be anointing.
Right.
He too had to move without knowing what's happening. We keep seeing over and over these people moving without knowing what's the next step, who they going to be talking to, who they might have a clue every now and then.
Yeah.
But he still went, let me go to this place. I don't know nobody, you know what I'm saying, but I'm going to go look to see who I got to anoint, right? So they lined up their children, the older children. Jesse did, which is David's father, David's father, right? And said, okay, how about him? How about him? How about him? Right? And they going with all what they think is going to be the perfect match, right? But our ways ain't the Most High ways, and we don't think like he think, right? Start at 16:11 again.
and Samuel said unto Jesse,
Jesse is David's father. What'd he say?
are here all thy
Is
children?
this all your children here right now? Because so far, everybody we went through, the Most High don't see that they fit, right? But keep in mind, this is who the parents is recommending. Oh man, what about they pick? Parents have their favorites and think this and that, so they recommending this brother, and the Most High like X, none of them, right?
Now.
Keep reading.
And he said, there remaineth yet the youngest, and
The
behold,
youngest. So the youngest is the one he say, yeah, we still got the youngest boy, right? And behold, what?
he keepeth the sheep.
No, they didn't say it like that. They said he keepeth the sheep. See, when you understand your history, the shepherds was seen as low people. That was a low job back in the day. That was like you going and picking up trash out the ground, versus being the man who the president of a Fortune 500 company.
Right.
Oh, he just picks up trash off the ground.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Oh, he's just a shepherd, right? So they say, oh, he's the youngest, and he just keeps sheep. That's all he do, right? So that wasn't no important task in their eyes. Keep going.
And Samuel said unto Jesse, send and fetch him.
Go get him, no. Go. Let's see what's happening.
For we will not sit down till he come hither.
Man, we ain't sitting down till he get here. You know what I'm saying? So they looked at it like, this is a low job, and he's the youngest. We don't know what was going on at them times because the Bible don't give us everything. We got to read around things and try to find what's in the middle, right?
Right.
So they thought he was insignificant, and he wasn't a perfect match, right? But see, that's how the Most High work with us. We might come from certain backgrounds and stuff, and we don't believe in ourselves, and other people might not even believe in and that we could be the one that the Most High use. I'm gonna bring in this man from this to raise him up to this,
Right.
And you be like, dang man, hold on, I remember that brother 3 years ago, and he didn't have this, he was this, that, and the third, right? But then the Most High elevates you so that he could get the glory, because he know you're gonna give it to him, right? So a lot of people might not see us fit to do certain endeavors, but the Most High got a different way of looking at us. And he see the special within us that no other man can see, right? So let's go to 1 Samuel 16:12. Go ahead and hit that.
And he sent and brought him in. Now he was ruddy and withal a beautiful countenance.
Right.
And goodly to look to.
Right.
And Yahuwah said, arise, anoint him, for this is he.
See, and if you speak on David's brothers was handsome as well. So that could have even been a reason, like, man, this is the handsome son. Everybody like him because his swagger, the way he talked. This the perfect match, right? So that's the way they was thinking. But David was handsome himself, though, yeah. And he was a keeper of the sheep and all that. So even at the time that he came in, he might have been dirty, smelly, and all of this.
Right.
So the Most High gonna see stuff within us that other people can't, right?
Absolutely.
But it said David was a man of his own heart, right? Now, when you a shepherd, I mean, ain't that what the priest supposed to do? Guard the
That's
flock?
it. Yes, sir.
So he was already being prepared at a young age to do spiritually what the Most High had him set up for, right?
Yes,
Let's
sir.
go ahead and hit verse 13.
Then Samuel took the horn of oil and anointed him in the midst of his brethren. And the ruach of Yahuwah came upon David from the day forward.
'Cause remember earlier when I was giving the steps, I was telling you got to go through separation and isolation. Then it would become a revelation where he'll reveal himself in transformation, and then it would get to the point where it would be elevation, where he would put you among those who look down on you. You see what
Yes,
I'm saying?
sir.
This is exactly what happened. They didn't think that David was the perfect pick, but now he getting blessed in front of all them. Like, yeah, this is what the Most High chose, right?
Right.
Keep reading. So Samuel.
Yep. Upon David from that day forward, so Samuel rose up and went to Ramah.
Right. We're going to go to Luke chapter 1, verse 76. See, because David was being anointed, but he didn't immediately become king because
Right.
Saul was king. So he had to wait, but the anointing was already happening, right? So he was anointed at that time, but he wasn't appointed at that time. First comes the anointing to help with the progress through the process. Then comes the appointing. So Luke chapter 1, verse 76. Because the Most High got a purpose for all of us. We all got a duty, but it got to separate and prepare us first, right?
Right.
Luke 1 and 76. Go ahead.
And thou, child, shalt be called the prophet of the highest, for thou shalt go before the face of Yahuwah to prepare his ways.
So they talking to John right now, right? Preparation with John going to prepare the ways of the Most High. So he's preparing the ways of Hamashiach, right? And for the Most High's will to be done, right? So he said he's going to be called a child of the prophet of the highest. Keep going.
To give knowledge of salvation unto his people by the remissions of their sins.
Right. Keep going.
Through the tender mercy of our Elohim, whereby the day spring from on high hath visited us, to give light to them that sit in darkness and in the shadow of death, to guide the feet into the way of peace.
And this is really what we all supposed to be doing, because we supposed to walk as Hamashiach. Once we take up our cross, we supposed to do the same thing. He said, you shall do greater things than this, right? We supposed to be doing better than what he did, right? And we truly believe, because his word ain't void. It's just on our faith level, on what we produce, how many people we bring into the truth off our work. So we really putting in effort to use our ministry to bring more people into the fold. Are we delivering the word with charity and love, as Hamashiach did? Go ahead and hit 80.
And the child grew and waxed strong in the spirit, and was in the deserts till the day of his showing unto Israel. In the deserts.
We keep seeing separation, because when you're in the desert, you're away from everything. Everybody going to stay where the water at, where all the goods at, so I can go buy this or go buy that. Because we got to understand the culture, the setup of the land and everything. When you're in the desert, you're away from the people, because ain't no water there. You know, you got risk of dying of thirst. The food ain't there. So he was separated in the desert. And we're talking about John the Baptist, the one who came to prepare the way for Hamashiach. He was separated in the desert, but it says the child grew and wax strong in spirit. Through our separation phase, we're going to grow strong in spirit. We start out weak. We don't have that much faith, you know. But even with Abraham, his faith increased. Till it came to the point where, because remember, initially, he didn't move and just go to the land where the Most High told him to.
Right.
He was in Quran and chilled there, right? So then it came to the point where he was even willing to sacrifice his son. You see what I'm saying? So your faith has to grow. It's a process. So he's made strong through the separation, as John was, right? And that's going to conclude our lesson today. It was short and brief, but we'll pick it up on part 2, Most High willing, the next time that I do teach. Again, I'm teaching in absence of my cousin who was out of town. May it be an increase added to where he's at as well. We'll go ahead and conclude today's lesson. Thank you for giving me your time and your ear.
Hallelujah.
And we'll go ahead and close out. Now, Brother Brian will say the Lord's Prayer.